Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another Around the Town of Branford with Henry and Frank. Today, a very special guest, Anthony Unk DaRos, who served as Branford's first selectman for 6 two-year terms. And we're hey, Unk, great to see you again, sir.
Nice seeing you, Frank. Yeah, nice seeing Henry too. It's been like old times, huh?
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So anyway, right at this moment, right, we're in Stony Creek, we're on Unk's property, we're standing in front of a duplicate that he built, the train station down here, right?
That's right, Frank. This is very close to where the original train station was that was built in 1850. And Henry is standing right in the alignment of the original New Haven, New London, Stonington Railroad. It came right through here, and the Stony Creek station was one of the stops. This was a replica, actually was a combination station, was half freight and half passenger. And then, of course, as the demand for service increased, in 1883, they built a regular passenger station on the other side of the tracks. That house wasn't there. That was a beautiful railroad station that they had put in there. And now this became just a freight station. Right? Uh-huh. And then one of its claims to fame, it was also ended up as a morgue. There was a murder here on this property. Really? And apparently it was the murder, and to cover it up, they threw the guy in front of the train. He was the station master.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and then they put him inside the building, and they left him until his family claimed him. And there was a case that they never really solved. However, one of the quarrymen went to prison for it and died in prison, but it was a bizarre thing, you know. But anyway, and then in 1894, they realigned to the present-day New Haven Railroad, or right now is Amtrak.
Yeah.
They took that building and moved it over onto the north side of the tracks, over here in what was with the big freight yard over there. Now it's all overgrown, but that was a big freight yard in there.
Uh-huh.
And they moved that building over there.
I see.
And this became abandoned at that time.
Uh-huh.
And then the quarry acquired the right-of-way. Uh-huh. And that allowed them to come down from the quarry and bring the stone over into the freight yard over here. And
they had their own. They had their own tracks.
Oh yeah, they had about 5 miles of track. That was quite an operation, the Stony Creek Quarry in its day.
Yeah.
Prior to this, they came down out of Red Hill, and the railroad went along the west, just west of where present-day Quarry Road is.
Yes.
Came down and paralleled 146. Uh-huh. Till it went down to the marsh out east here, across the marsh, and went to a switch that was over just east of Medlin's property.
I see. Yes, right.
And that's how they got back and forth out of the quarry. And they used that up until the time this was abandoned. Then they created what we know today as Quarry Road.
Yeah.
But Quarry Road was only a railroad track in that. In fact, I remember when I was a kid, we used to go up to the homestead up there, and you actually had to ride, you put your car half on and half off the tracks, and you rode up through the swamp. One side was always in the water, and you made it up to the old homestead. Uh-huh. And then they eventually made a road out of it, and what is today Quarry Road.
Unk, it's also interesting, you know, the Stony Creek, the pink granite, the world famous. There's a lot of people that could be watching this program, and you know, this is the first time they're hearing about Stony Creek granite. Would you tell us about all the the uses of the granite over the years, the pink stone?
Yeah, one of the things was the Norcross brothers were world-renowned quarrymen. I mean, they were capable of doing big work. But what was more important, the Stony Creek granite was capable of producing massive stone blocks without any flaws in it. So that made it a very valuable stone and in demand, all over. And one of them, for example, West Point Monument, for example.
Yeah, that's a column, right?
That was a column, and that was turned and made here in Stony Creek and transported out there, all by the quarrymen from Stony Creek. That was interesting. Those days, you had to go across the meadow to get onto this track.
Uh-huh.
It was a single track. So in order to get that stone to West Point, it took them 13 days, by the way, to get there, because they couldn't go more than 6 miles an hour because the stones were so heavy.
Wow.
That it would actually burn the journals up on the cars. So they went from here to Saybrook, to Hartford, to Fishkill, New York, crossed the Hudson, and then up to the West Point. And it was really remarkable. One of the last projects they did was the Commerce Building in Washington.
Uh-huh.
That's all Stony Creek pink granite. Grand Central Station is all Stony Creek.
Now, I believe over the years, right, you and Carl Ballestracci, you've been giving tours of the Stony Creek Quarry, right?
Right, that's right.
And there was a recent book that Carl wrote, and he said, right, that, the base of the Statue of Liberty was quarried in a small quarry in Guilford. Is that right?
That's right. It was on Leeds Island Quarry, right. In fact, it was just north of the train tracks that are there now as you went down of Old Quarry Road and Leeds Island.
I see.
Now, Beatty's Quarry was a very large operation.
Yes.
And in those days, all your quarries were along the coast, because the only way you could move the stone was by water.
So heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so until the coming of the railroad, then you could start opening up quarries inland, which was the case for the Stony Creek. But Stony Creek granite is very unique. That vein up there is a lot different than the Thimble Islands. The Thimble Islands say it's Stony Creek stone. Yeah, it's Stony Creek stone, but it's not Stony Creek pink granite. There's a big difference between the island stone and what comes out of Stony Creek. It's a very small vein of stone. The only other place in the world that it's found is in the Atlas Mountains in Morocco.
Really?
They were joined together at one time, and when they're separated, when the continents is separated, they took part of Stony Creek with it.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So currently, right, the granite and the acreage around it are owned by the town, but the quarry itself, right, it's about a 50-acre piece. That's what leased to Mr. Anderson, who operates the quarry now?
Right. He has a license to operate. It's all owned by the town of Branford. Only 50 acres of it. Of the 425 acres, that was the original quarry property. Right, when that was sold to the Castellucci sold it to the town of Branford, the federal government, and the state government. It was a three-way partnership, which is very unusual. And one of the deals was, because he sold it at such a reduced price, $100,000 for 400 acres. Well, anyway, for such a reduced price, he had the right to quarry at $1,000 a year lease the 50 acres. Now, the 50 acres was determined by where the guide cables or the derricks went. So if you ever looked at the lease lines, it's the most screwed up thing you ever seen, because it was all over it. But what it was is where these guide cables for the quarry derricks were fastened to the ledges. And so it covered 50 acres, which was amazing.
Really amazing. Now, so I believe that the Selectmen, Board of Finance, RTM, they approved, right, that at the lease, that the annual lease plus a share of all the stone, right, it goes to the town of Branford, and it's used for the open space acquisition fund, right?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. I think it was a good move on everyone's part over there. When they did that, was you took public land of, say, open space land per se, and put it right back into maintenance of public land.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cost the taxpayer anything other than some minor inconvenience of big trucks running up and down the highway.
Yeah.
But that'd be about the only inconvenience on that.
As far as the Stony Creek Quarry, it's been open in operation for at least 120 years now or so. So my question is there still granite there to mine?
There's plenty of granite to mine. You have to go down, except you go down far enough. The old quarry hole right now is below sea level.
Really?
The old one. So they went down. It's like 30 or 40 feet below where you stand in the quarry itself.
Really?
And geologists say they don't know if you'll hit shale or what. And if you do, you could, just flood the whole place out and be done with it. But the further down you go, the better quality of
Really?
the stone. Oh yes, much better. But the only limitation on the quarrying is they're already at the lease lines.
Uh-huh.
And in order for you to extend that lease, you're going to have to deal with the federal government and the Bureau of Land Management, as well as the state of Connecticut and the town of Branford.
Yeah.
It's very doubtful that they'd ever be able to extend that.
I
Now,
see.
that vein runs all the way across I-95.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
because correct. I think there's places up there, where the rock's exposed. You can see that it's
oh, yeah.
pink granite.
Yeah. You can see the difference of the Stony Creek stuff. Yeah.
Now across the street, Unk, right? You got the museum.
Yeah. That's over there. That was the old. That building was built in 1927, and actually it was a mission of St. George's Church in Guilford.
For people that are just joining, the program, the Stony Creek Museum, that's open to the public?
Oh, absolutely. The only problem is they're open on weekends. I mean, they're not open 7 days a week, but they're open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, and holidays.
So
But
then,
with this virus going around,
pandemic,
it's closed. It's closed.
So I mean, okay, so it's closed right now, but it's going to open in the future. So
Oh yeah.
So I mean, all the history about the creek, the granite and the
Yeah.
thimbles, they can see it in there.
Oh yeah, and they have a different. Display. Try to theme each year.
Oh,
like
cool.
they'll have the boats of Stony Creek, and they'll have. And one year they had bathing suits of Stony Creek.
Really?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, that's
they
right.
have the drum corps, and you have
Oh,
the
the drum
hotels,
corps,
and
yeah.
all those are history. Yeah.
Oh, the Stony Creek Drum Corps, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's known right throughout the world. It's
Oh, yeah,
so
no.
great.
Yeah. Well, there's
You're
a
involved.
lot of
You're
great.
involved with that, aren't you?
Oh no, I couldn't carry a tune in a bushel basket. So I mean, and I knew that, and I never belonged to it. However, I contribute a lot for them. Like when they had to jack up their building and redo their building down there.
That came out great.
I did that building.
Did you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
And all the foundations underneath it.
Yeah.
In fact, the foundations underneath that was an interesting thing. That was stone that was salvaged out of the old driving park, which is where Business Park Drive is now. It was a racetrack for
Yeah,
trotting
the
horses.
racetrack.
Yeah.
Right. That's right.
Yeah,
Right
and
up-
they had 4 big stone pillars
Really?
in front.
Uh-huh.
In fact, that stone right there in front of that round column over there, see that pyramid-shaped stone?
Yeah.
Was the capstone of one of them.
Uh-huh.
See it?
I see.
But then all the stone underneath, I took that stone and I put it down on that building, and I figured, what the heck, it's a historical stone, we'll put it in a historical place.
It was great
And
use.
So I donated that stone to them for that reason.
That was great.
Yeah.
Okay, so Unk, so at this point, what we're going to do is go inside the station house here, and Unk's going to show us inside. But just before we go in, Unk, I mean, would you tell us about this building itself?
Oh, well, this building here, well, I wanted a little place to be, what do you call it, man cave, they call them, a place to hide. And, of course, it's a heck of a place to hide. It's about one of the busiest intersections of Branford. But other than that, I decided, like I said, I wanted to redo the old building, but it got in a lot of complications about it being so close to the boundary lines, and it had such extensive renovation that had to be done to it.
Okay, so I just wanted to mention this. So what Unk is talking about, this is a copy, right, of the old Stony Creek train station. Unk built this building. Right. Now we can't see it from here, but on the property over there, a ways, is the original Stony Creek train station house.
That's right.
Right?
That's right, and it's the last of the old Shoreline Railroad buildings. That building in the corner you can see here is a coal bin. What they had done was, that building was here, the original, and they pushed it back to the corner of the property, so they had room to build the coal bins. And there was what was the original track became a siding off of here, and they used to deliver coal all the way up to 1960. They used to deliver coal into these bins.
Uh-huh.
In fact, the coal bin extended all the way out to here. But that building right there was built in 1911. The one that's standing right there.
Yeah.
But back when this was when the coal bin operation was going on, Right over there was a little building, probably it was 16 by 16. It was a scale inside it. You had a little platform you could drive. You actually didn't drive on top of it. They took the coal bags and weighed them on top. But inside, I remember as a kid, was this biggest scale you ever seen. It was a beam scale, but it had this big dial, about 3 foot in diameter, shiny brass. It was beautiful. And Johnny Rogers ran the coal business then. He used to hide behind the thing, and all the kids coming to school, he'd make fun of them having to go to school. Oh, there they go, you have to go to school. But anyway, that building was long since gone. I don't ever know what happened to it. As you can see by all the stuff around that, I like to collect that old stuff only because I like looking at it. It reminds, I'm probably trapped in the past. And I don't apologize for that. I'm kind of proud of it. But the fact is that, I look at these tools and the quality of them and the history they had. I liked hanging them up and looking at them. That's all. And if anybody else wants to come in and look at them and enjoy it, you're welcome to it.
It's the Unk DaRos Museum.
Well, yeah, it wasn't meant to be, but anyway, it is. It is. Well, I don't know. You go along, and if the people come in and there's something different they see all the time, but it's been there. Like you got an old spinning wheel up there. You got things like that. You got overhead here is a bobsled. You see that thing? That's a 3-man bobsled there. That's about 120 years old. And it still works. Yeah. Wow. And but anyway, and then my carvings are up inside here. I put this plexiglass up here just to keep the dust off. Yeah. The dust in this place is unbelievable.
You get it because so much wood.
Yeah.
Those are beautiful.
Well, I like the wood carving. It just gives you a little. Time goes by pretty fast.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
That one up there was, I carved that out of one piece of black walnut.
That's beautiful.
That was one of my more difficult ones.
Really, that's one piece?
That's one piece, yeah. Beautiful. It's a bighorn sheep. That's the start of a series I was going to do a drum corps. I got to do the fifer yet, and but that's all. I had a piece of wood they call buckeye today. I didn't know what to do with it, and I kept holding it. And I said, why don't I just do my hand? So I carved my hand on it. Go ahead, take it out. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Look at that.
So this past, I guess it was last winter, I built a boat.
You did?
Yeah, I built a boat for my daughter. She wanted a boat, so I built her a boat. And,
What kind, Unk?
It was actually it was a modified skiff. I made it into like a scow, and their only specification was it had to hold 3 people and a dog. So I built it to hold 3 people and a dog, and she does real good with it. She runs around with it out there in the island. Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. So anyway, a lot of those steam gauges up there actually came off of the hoisting engines up in the quarry. They was thrown out. Back in the day in the quarry, believe it or not, they had 11 standing guide derricks up there. 11. Wow. All with their own steam power. They had their boilers attached, and they would create their own steam in the hoisting engines. Now 11 of them, you can imagine. Also, they always had an odd number of guide cables to each derrick. At least 5, some had 7.
Wow.
So you wonder, picture 11 of them. It was like a giant spider web, up there. And it was amazing. And I remember probably 4 derricks standing when I was a kid running around up there. And people used to come from miles around during a thunderstorm. And the lightning would hit those things and down cause it was like a lightning pot up there. Yeah. Because they weren't grounded. They went to the ledge, and there's no ground. So they would travel all the way down those things like a ball of fire till they hit a tree. Wow. And then they would go. It was really something to see. Another thing about those derricks, back in the 50s when now a common thing is the osprey.
Yes.
You see them everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
There was only a pair for many, many years in the 50s, and that pair was on top of one of the derricks. And they'd be working with the thing that derrick would be working, and those that pair would come there every year.
Yeah.
Up to the top. And people would come, especially birders, would come from miles around to observe them, because it was a very rare sight.
Yes.
Because they were almost extinct.
Yeah.
And now they're everywhere, which is good. It's a good story that they came back.
Well, they came back because all these organizations, like the Land Trust, right? They put up the, the piles with the with the piles with the platform, right, for nesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, and they also banned the DDT.
Banned DDT.
That's probably the biggest thing that.
Yeah, because of the eggshells were so thin.
Yeah.
Because of the DDT. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. That's true.
And then anyway, the rest of it is basically just stuff that I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got the harpoon.
All those tools here on the wall.
Yeah, there was like I say, a lot of things they don't know it, what they are. That knife over the top of that door there. That's a quiche. I believe it's a quiche. You know what that's used for? The only thing that's good for is decapitation.
Oh, really?
And that came out of the Philippines. These harpoons up there, that one closest to you was found on a beach up in Newfoundland. And they're up there. Yeah.
That's what they used to use for whaling, right?
That's right.
They'd stick it right in the whale.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but as you go, you got these tools. And like I say, a lot of people don't know what they were, but these augers, these were all basically out of the quarry when they were building the buildings up there. Everything was made out of yellow pine. It was massive, massive buildings. And it seemed like the standard timber up there for them was 14 by 14 timbers. I mean, they were big, 30, 40 feet long. It was but anyway, they would use those drills like that.
Just wanted to ask you about this stove here behind you. Does it work?
Oh yeah, that's my source of heat.
Oh really? That's your.
This is what I use in the wintertime.
That's all you have. You don't have any gas or.
No. I don't have anything except electric lights. That's it. But
is this coal? Is that an old coal stove or?
Actually, it's a coal stove, but I use it for wood.
Yeah, that's good.
And this stove here came out of Charlie Baker's store, which was the A&P, which is the house across the street from the library. That was an A&P.
Really?
Yeah, and it was run by Charlie Baker, David Baker's father. Remember David? They passed away.
Yeah, he was great on the RTM.
Yeah, him and his wife said, "Can you use the stove?" So I took it down. I rebuilt it. Took it all apart, put new fasteners on it. And it's a historical stove.
Yeah. It's that's great.
Yeah. This over here is an old coin thing from the trolleys.
Oh.
You put your token in.
When you came on board, you mean?
Yeah. Put it in there.
Yeah, I've seen those at the trolley museum.
Yeah. So and then you go along and you got all kinds of. This one here, nobody could figure this out, and it took a long, long time to figure this out. What this was. This had a dowel sticking out over here. You know what that was? It was a gauge for making clapboards. That's what that was.
Cool.
Yeah. These axes, you notice these are all handmade. And see the way the blacksmith welded those on. I only use them if they're old. If they're real old. That's all. Yeah. These are some of my walking sticks that this was my original one. Really? This is the first one I ever made.
No kidding.
This one,
That's pretty,
yeah.
Very nice.
This one here got a little risque. This was a lady doing a jackknife dive.
Show us just a second. Show us that. The head that changes. All right.
Okay.
Let me bring it over. You want to come over? Yeah. Because that's so cool. Whoops.
There you go.
This is a cool piece too. Tell us about.
Yeah, this one's all black walnut. This
Yes?
piece here. That's what I do here. I like doing that. I've done a lot of them. They're all gone. I either give them away or some people
Yes,
sell.
yeah.
I've done a lot of sculpture. People. I don't know how I ever got into this, but they wanted their dogs, sculpture of their dogs, and I would do the head of the dogs. And I think I've done 9 of them, 10 of them so far.
Really?
And they're all, I got one in Colorado, another one in North Carolina, one's down in Virginia, and the rest are all here in Branford of their dogs.
Yeah, that's cool.
This thing here,
Yeah, okay, sir. Yeah.
put it up here for Henry to see if you wanted to see it. Okay, Frank likes this one. Okay, there you go.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. See, this is the nose, the eyes, and the ears.
Yeah.
You turn it, and you got the nose and the ears, and you turn it again. See, it's 4 faces.
4 faces, yeah, with different expressions.
But the nose becomes the ears and the...
Oh, yeah.
And so on.
That's great.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
That's what happens when you got nothing to do. Yeah.
Well, Unk, I mean, it's been great, to come down to Stony Creek and visit with you and catch up with you, see how you were doing. And
Well, likewise, friend.
yeah, I mean,
Likewise.
really, it's it's great to see you so active. And I mean, we brought you all the information down here at Unk's property, and it was great to be with you for some time today, and thanks for having us in.
Oh, absolutely, Frank. I'm glad you called and we put it together. If you enjoyed it, fine. I hope you did. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so
All right, so this is where I'm hiding. I stand out of politics, if you noticed. And
it's not the same without you uptown,
and I stay, I notice a lot of things are the same, some things change. And I notice you still got this few that, for some reason, seem to cry with their mouth full. And you have that group, but the rest, I think, is a wonderful little community, and the people here are great.
It's true.
And that's one of the things that made the job a real pleasure. So, anyway, nice seeing you, Frank. Nice seeing you, Henry.
It's great seeing you, sir.
All right.
Okay, so we've been speaking today with Anthony Unk DaRos. Oh, before we go, how come you got the nickname Unk?
Boy, that's an old one. I had that since 2nd grade. Believe it or not, And there's so many people that didn't know my real name is why officially on a ballot. And that's my name that I'm registered to vote on. And I did that only because so many people didn't know my real name. Yeah. There was a time the only one that called me Anthony was my mother. The only one.
Your mother.
For the longest time. But how it actually got generated, I don't know. Actually, it was Billy Dow. He was my next door neighbor, and he put that nickname on me. So, and I carried it all these years. Yeah.
Unk, it's really served you well.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Well, the other problem, too, was there was 3 Anthony DaRoses in town.
Oh.
So it was a lot easier to have one of them be the oddball, which was me.
Well, anyway, again, thanks for having us down. It's been great to see you, and this is as you said, this is your man cave.
Yeah.
And again, this structure was built by Unk. This is a copy of an existing, on this property, real train station. Yeah. So the whole thing, right? Yeah. It's an amazing story.
Well, it was fun, I'll say that.
You're very talented, Unk.
Yeah.
You're very talented.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, you're welcome.
Okay, Frank.
Okay, so that concludes our program around the town of Branford with Henry and Frank. And stay with us. There's more programs coming up in the near future. So until next time, goodbye.